Well, hey there. Good afternoon to you. We are going through the book of Matthew, verse by verse, and it is incredibly important that we go through the book of Matthew, verse by verse, because the book of Matthew is our example of what it is Jesus has told us to do while we are here on this earth as stewards of the Christian faith until he returns. Look at this beautiful beach I'm at. Very windy. I'm getting pelted with sand, but this is the least windy place I could find because we're here because this is where God asked me to be. As Jesus begins teaching the multitudes, for the first time we are hearing from the lips of Jesus his teachings that are beyond anything that anybody on this earth can show us, because every single word that comes out of his mouth as we go through this first lesson for chapter 5, 6, and 7 in the book of Matthew, that it's important we analyze every word, every single word, and not just blast through it. And what we've learned in the last couple episodes is there's much more to it than the outside surface area of what he says. It's got much deeper meaning, because even these little lessons in the beginning, they come straight out of the book of Isaiah. They come straight out of Psalms. They come straight out of Ecclesiastes. They come straight out of Proverbs. These are deep and meaningful things about the secrets of heaven. So as we go through it, it's important we analyze every word. So we're just going to pick it up where we left off, Matthew 5, starting verse 1. And seeing the multitudes, he went up on a mountain. And when he was seated, his disciples came to him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. All right, I'm going to pause there. We're going to focus on the meek inheriting the earth. This is a big one. I'd like to inherit the earth. It's not just a fancy saying. It is a literal thing that Jesus is talking about. So understanding who inherits the earth is very critical. If you had a father who was a king and he said, I'm going to appoint who's going to inherit all of my kingdom here on earth, you're going to pay attention. And that's really what Jesus is talking about here. So we're going to kind of jump around a little bit. We're going to go to Psalms 37, starting verse 11 to start with. But the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. So it's not just that you inherit the earth, but it's an abundance of peace on the earth. Now think about that for a moment. Since Cain slew Abel, there's never been a moment of peace on earth. There's always blood spilt on the earth, always. So what is it he's talking about here? Well, let's start by going back to Psalm 25:9. The humble he guides in justice. The humble he teaches his way. Now here's one of the biggest problems that I believe with America today, is there's this belief and teaching, specifically in the Christian church, that being humble and empathetic is weak. But the reality is Jesus guides the humble, and it is the humble that he teaches his way. So to truly understand the teachings of Jesus Christ, it begins with meekness, with being humble. James 1:21 says, Therefore lay aside all filthiness and overflow of wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted words, which is able to save your soul. So being meek is really the path to literal salvation. Now, don't hear me wrong. Like, being meek isn't going to save you. But finding Jesus and truly understanding him and calling him Lord and behaving as if he behaves and learning the things that he is trying to teach you requires meekness. So what about possessing the earth? Like, what is this about? Okay, so let's just say I am meek. Let's say I am humble. How do I possess the earth? Well, by being meek and humble, that's going to lead you to understanding the teachings of Jesus Christ, which is going to lead you to the obedience of Jesus Christ, which is going to lead you literally to salvation of your soul. And then when we go to Revelation 20, verse 4, it says, And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was committed to them. And I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for their witness to Jesus and for the word of God, who had not worshipped the beast or his image and had not received his mark on their foreheads or on their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. They inherited the earth. They literally inherited the earth for 1,000 years. Not just inherited the earth, but in a peaceful time. 1,000 years of peace reigning on this earth with Jesus Christ as King. This is what you get for meekness according to Jesus Christ. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a figurative thing, it's a literal thing. And if you have pastors or leaders, if you have like a men's group or a women's group or a kids group or whatever it is you're in, if they're teaching you that meekness is weak, run. Meekness leads to the understanding of the teachings of Jesus Christ, which leads to the salvation of your very soul, and you inherit the earth.